far from over.
The World Health Organization has warned against early suspension of COVID-19 restrictions. The security sector reform is taking shape as the Commander-in-Chief focuses on firing and hiring of officers. South African mining industry is almost back to normal operations despite the impact of COVID-19. This and more coming on The World Today. Hello, this is iAfrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. President of the Republic and Commander-in-Chief of the Gambian Forces acting on constitutional powers has appointed new commanders of the Gambian National Army for the Republican National Guard and the State Guard Battalion. The appointment of these senior officers, according to the Gambian Forces, is part of the security sector reforms the government had pledged since coming into power in 2016. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces has promoted 3 senior officers as commanders to the Gambian National Army, the Republican National Guards and the State Guards Battalion respectively. The new commander of the Gambian National Army, Colonel Usman Gomez, was until recently the military police chief and legal advisor to the Chief of the Defense Staff. For a second master's degree, he is currently at the International Christian University in Japan on peace and conflict resolution. Colonel Toro Jaune filled the vacant position as commander of the Republican National Guards after serving as the commanding officer of the State Guards Battalion since 2017. The Director of Training and Doctrine at the Defense Headquarters, Colonel Said Njai, is now commanding officer of the State Guards Battalion. Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, Major Lamin K. Sanyang, told the Good Morning Africa program that these appointments are in line with democratic credentials of any given country.
And this is in line with the security sector reforms that the government of His Excellency President Barrow is unrolling for the Gambia Armed Forces, in that there has to be a security and paradigm shift in the way and manner we provide security for the Gambian citizenry in line with democratic credentials of any given country.
This development came a month after President Barrow replaced Lieutenant General Masane Nkinte with his deputy, Major General Yankoba Drame, as Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces. Lieutenant General Kinte had been commanding of the army since the coming of the 2016 coalition government under Adama Barrow amidst criticisms of a slow security sector reforms. Administration of the Gambia Army has been criticized for its politically induced loyalty together with the creation of a jungle faction working mainly to satisfy the former president who ruled for 22 years. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Aminata Job. The Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia...
From that report there by Aminata Job, as you just heard, and of course next we head to Tunisia, because Tunisian IT firm is partnering with a Chinese... Yes, the Tunisian IT firm is partnering with a Chinese company to use drones in the fight against COVID-19 in a bid to consolidate government's effort to stem the spread of the virus. The drones would be used as temperature control mission and also share messages with citizens on preventive measures of COVID-19. Lawmakers welcome the initiative, saying the Chinese support will boost national efforts to end the pandemic. Here's more details of that in this report.
The Tunisian engineering and technology consulting company Telnet has launched a technological partnership with the Chinese company DJI to support the government's efforts in the fight against the pandemic.
Telnet's donation is in partnership with the Chinese company DJI. It is the world leader in the manufacture of civil intelligent drones. We're integrating our software and artificial intelligent tools. The same drones we use in the Chinese city of Wuhan to face the corona crisis.
The drones will be deployed during the general lockdown in the suburbs of the capital city Tunis.
The objective of this project is temperature control missions and to broadcast messages to citizens so that they adhere to the prevention measures. Drone pilots of the Ministry of Agriculture are at the service of the Ministry of Health on these missions.
The Health Commission at the Tunisian Parliament has welcomed the initiative. MPs say the Chinese drones will support the state effort in stopping the spread of the virus.
This technology is revolutionary and it facilitates the work of the COVID-19 task force. The drones can operate anywhere and limit person-to-person contact.
Telnet Group and the Ministry of Health have announced that this type of drone allows large-scale sweeps to measure the temperature of citizens in a large area of 7 km in diameter.
According to the COVID-19 task force, the drones will be operated by pilots who will be accompanied by health officials. Drones will search for people walking around during the general lockdown and urge them to stay.
And from the report there in Tunisia, we now report on matters of the WHO because the head of the World Health Organization has said that the COVID-19 pandemic is far from over and reported that the WHO continues to be concerned about the increase in trend in some part of the world.
The pandemic is far from over. WHO continues to be concerned about the increasing trends in Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and some Asian countries. As in all regions, cases and deaths are underreported in many countries in these regions because of low testing capacity. We don't have any mandate to force countries to implement what we advise them. It's up to the countries to take our advice or reject it. But we give our advice based on the best science and evidence.
That was the WHO's boss speaking as some countries begin to resume normality in the past week. The WHO delivered supplies for more than 40 countries in Africa and more are planned. And from that development of from the WHO, we next report on the European Union or the EU, because the European Union has announced the allocation of $11 million equivalent to 209,000 euros to fund a new COVID-19 cash transfer response activity in the Gambia. The fund is meant to strengthen the successful building resilience through the social transfer project being implemented by UNICEF, National Nutrition Agency, and the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare. The European delegation to the Gambia said in a statement on Monday that the activity, which involves provision of immediate cash transfer of $1,500 per mother and child pair, will target the most vulnerable households in the regions of CRR, URR, and NPR. The transfer will be used for the purchase of essential food and hygiene items to combat the spread of COVID-19. The latest move from the EU came 2 days after it announced a budget support for over $500 million, equivalent to 9 million euros, to the government of the Gambia in implementation of COVID-19 responses. And from that development from the EU, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining update stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
COVID-19. Leave no one behind. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause illness, ranging from the common cold to more severe lung diseases. COVID-19 is the most recently discovered disease caused by coronavirus. As we fight this pandemic, we must be kind by supporting others. COVID-19 is not specific to any sex, gender, race, nationality, or skin color. So, let us not stigmatize or discriminate against anyone or certain groups. Fear of exclusion and discrimination may result in those who may have contracted COVID-19, including migrants, to hide their symptoms rather than seek treatment. This puts everyone at risk of getting sick. In many contexts, people who migrate to work, study, or join their families are key players in nation building, including combating COVID-19. Let us all play our role in challenging misinformation and discrimination against migrants. Be considerate of others' needs and do what you can to help. Encourage others to wash their hands frequently. Avoid touching their face, eyes, mouth, and nose. Practice proper cough etiquette. Avoid public places. Practice social distancing and stay at home if they feel unwell. The Gambia is called the Smiling Coast because its people are kind. Let's show that kindness in fighting COVID-19, our common enemy. Let's fight it together. For more information, or if you experience any symptoms, dial 1025.
Welcome back. You're watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. The Gambia Navy on Saturday captured a fishing vessel identified as Sarah, some 5 miles away from the Bijilo Island. Sub-Lieutenant Abdullah Njai, who led the operation, confirmed validity of the vessel's fishing license. However, the vessel was escorted to Banjul for its operators to face legal measures. And from that development, of course, from the Gambian Navy, next we move to South Africa, because the South African mining industry is halfway back to normal operations despite the impact of the coronavirus global pandemic. The industry's management is not taking chances as it puts in place precautionary measures for workers to avoid transmission of the virus at work. Authorities are hoping for a close working relationship between the management and the union for the safety of workers. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The mine management takes a holistic approach to the health and safety of their team. And before workers venture underground, the mining area has had to be stabilized.
So the first week we've just largely spent drilling preconditioning holes into faces, into pillars, and blasting those single holes just to fracture the rock and release the stress buildup.
There's also changing the way people work and interact at the mine and at home.
I think our biggest concern is changing the behavior of people. You know, we're so used to standing close to each other, to having interactions, laughing, touching, and we've got to unlearn those behaviors and learn new behaviors of interacting at a distance.
If all of us can comply and make sure we protect ourselves, we protect people around us, our families, we should not be scared of it.
Very important that when the people get to their own communities and back at home, that they adapt the new ways of doing, adapt the new behaviors, so that we do not import or export the COVID-19.
As part of this team approach, the authorities are adamant that unions and management work together closely.
It's all about mine health and safety, and if that isn't in place, you're going to have infected workers and production levels will be affected. Never mind the fact that the mine inspector will probably step in and close the operation.
And from the report there, of course, we will now end this report or news bulletin in Ethiopia, because cargo services have taken over businesses of the Ethiopian Airlines to mitigate the impact of the global pandemic crisis. More than 100 passenger flights are grounded as the movement of people are limited to avoid the further spread of the coronavirus disease. The airline's management says it is working on to extend the cargo service with the passenger flights. Here is more details of that in this report.
These more than 100 Ethiopian Airlines owned fleet of passenger planes are parked for days now. The serious impacts of the coronavirus triggered flight restrictions have already been seen here. But ET is making profits somewhere else. It's a cargo business.
We are operating in a triangular way. We go with perishable agricultural products from here to Europe, then industrial high-tech products from Europe to China, then from China the industrial products of the textiles, personal effects, and other electronics and electronic equipments and mobile batteries. We transport to the rest of Africa. So it's a triangular type of business. We are growing, I can say, almost double and triple times.
Over the past 10 years, Ethiopia's flag carrier has aggressively invested on cargo planes and service facilities, which has finally paid off.
This is a state-of-the-art distribution center, as you can see, with cold storage of different adjustable temperatures. Over this also there is dry store with fully automated machineries. And 10 777 freighters, airplanes, two 737 freighters.
Unlike the passenger side of the airliner, the cargo unit here is thriving and is busier than it has ever been. Ethiopian Airlines also says it is removing chairs from passenger aircrafts, raiding them for more cargo business.
We were also among the very first airline to convert passenger airplane to cargo, meaning starting to load cargo in the cabin. Now, we have also started removing seats from the passenger aircraft. So we're making it entirely cargo.
Ethiopian Airlines is also the one airliner responsible in transporting hundreds of thousands of tons of medical consignments, mainly from China and the rest of the world, to Africa. The CEO says ET is determined to continue its performance during these difficult times.
Ethiopia as an economy, as a country, cannot afford to give us bailout money like the US or Europe or Dubai or Qatar. We know that our country has a lot of quite many pressing and urgent priorities in this crisis. So we are very determined among ourselves, 17,000 employees, to make sure that the airline survives within its own internal resources.
Currently, ET's cargo facility is also serving as UN's Africa humanitarian air hub for COVID-19 response. Many say Ethiopian Airlines is playing a historic role.
Ethiopian Airlines, they are finding themselves busy as, of course, the movement of people are limited nowadays due to the impact of the global pandemic. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you on this news bulletin. But for more on these stories and others, you can also look on our website on africa.tv. Many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay safe and bye for now.
lampi kan iwan kaspa o jibe e kaspa o fila banta ko do fila ila kaspa o sanna
ko to bar suwa ko tale ko pastor ngam Mamadou ko mandi ba hello Mamadou abijan dron ko tarande du ko rimbala yende manan kaspa wala say ha bantale hadi pentiji yo okay mabatuna abarka ba kayame
Maria ite Mamadou matara no bantala banko kan nyadi le ka kaspa o kini te jang say
ngodo fe malon ko balu ya kala ko tanya ibe bantala banko kan dawo da ese kaspa o kini kana gambeja ado abat kariyari nyami aba soniya wala fananya inyanta min kala drong wala ko log onto www.baluo.com ye prepaid electricity sang min ka bonale electricity company solto min bale Gambia banko kanjang Senegal Mali Nigeria and Sierra Leone